welcome to episode 122 of the Knitting Samurai and Her Guys video podcast. I'm your host, Steph, also known as the Knitting Samurai, and this is take 3 on the intro. So we have a new camera, and I've been trying out a few different settings, and I think it's going to work. I think this is going to be good. So let me know what you think. Fingers crossed I get to do less editing than I normally would do, and there won't be any gerbil sounds. So let's jump straight into knitting, shall we? Because that's what this is about. So first up on my needles, let me pull my needles closer to me. Okay, they are close. First up, my barn raising quilt squares. Let's go in the order of the show notes. That makes everything just so much smoother. I have completed a few more squares. I don't remember if I mentioned this last time or not, but I did order a skein of a yarn, an opal yarn that I thought had the similar shade of like a dark teal color in it, and I knit up a square from that, and together not so good. So I've just been chugging away on my normal ones. I did complete 4 squares this week, and I pulled out, still searching around, trying to figure out what that third color should be. Third color? Yes. In the Barn Raising Quilt, which is by Shelly Mackey and Larissa Brown, and I'm knitting it on US size 2, 2.75 millimeter needles. And if you're new to the show, I decided to make my youngest son one of these, intended, not a scrapped one, but using yarn I had in my stash. So this is my most precious skein. It's an opal rainforest. I have plenty of it. And then this is basically, I have some Happy Feet, I have some Fiber Nymph Dye Works, all in this similar shade of teal, so I thought that would count as one color. So these 2 colors are for sure a go, and it's that third color I've been questioning. Should it be this? And I keep knitting these squares, which is another opal yarn, thinking that that would go, but I don't know, it just seems really loud to have that, and then here's one that's on the needles, only that as a solid to offset it. So, and I definitely want to keep this teal and the variegated. And so then I pulled in, okay, how about a different solid? So I have several skeins of yarn that is a navy brown variegated, and so this one in particular, I have one that's another Crafty Girl, I don't know the colorway name, and I have this Inspiration Dye Works, so I thought I'd compare them and knit 10 squares between the 2 of those. This is Walking After Midnight, and I cast on for that, and you can see where the brown intersects with the navy. It makes a teal color, so I thought that might work, but I keep holding it next to him going, oh yeah, maybe it's okay, maybe it's not, I'm not sure. And then when I put it next to this, I absolutely don't like it next to that. So this one has kind of stalled out, that square. I could knit it for the actual scrap one that I'm working on, and I think I will, just because I have a good bit done on it, so I think I want to finish that, but that's been ruled out as well. So here I am with this square. This is the backbone of the quilt that I love. That is a bright aqua teal, a deep forest green teal color, I want to say, and then a happy sunshine yellow. Okay, so what do I love about this? I love all 3 of those colors, and I have something that's the dark teal color. Light bulb, why don't I get some sunshine yellow as the other color? And it's perfect. Oh my goodness. It's only taken me a month to realize that I love these colors together, and so why not offset my teal squares with yellow squares and have the variegated in the middle? This is a fat squirrel speaks back, by the way, which the project has been riding in the whole time. So I don't know if it was like so obvious it's in my face that it just kind of finally occurred to me, hey, this is what you need to do, or if it's that this sunk in at the subconscious level enough that I finally said, oh yeah, yellow, that's what I'm missing. So I went out to, before I could think about it too much, I went out to Leading Men Fiber Arts, because I'm trying not to add to stash, and ordered 2 skeins of his dipping sauce, which is their, like, it's a mustard yellow, but I thought that would be nice, and a variegated would sit nicely with this. 2 skeins from him, and then I immediately went over to Lisa Fiber Nymph and ordered 2 squares of or 2 squares. Send them completely knit. No, 2 skeins of her summer squash colorway. So I think between one of those 2 dyers, I will have the perfect yellow, because those, in terms of a variegated or a semi-solid, not variegated, and semi-solid yarn there, the peak indie dyers in my opinion. So between one of their 2, it's gonna be perfect. So and they were both dyeing them up yesterday, so I think they should arrive at about the same time, and then I'm gonna just look at both of them. I'll probably end up casting on both of them just to see. Yeah, so that's the barn raising quilt for Tristan. Oh my goodness. And I started out with this as a stash busting, right? I take 8 skeins, knit 30 squares, make a larger baby blanket size was the goal here. And I have ordered that red teal skein, 2 skeins of the rainforest, 2 skeins of yellow from Lisa, 2 skeins from Steve and Andy. So this is 7 skeins. This is not much of a stash buster for me, but I think I'm gonna end up with a blanket I really, really like for him. And I'm also thinking about my big guy, Roland. He's officially 3.5. Maybe he would get one with this, but then me trying to match up the colors, like looking at this, I would probably go teal and purple, and he'd be happy with teal. I don't think he'd like purple, although orange and blue are his favorite colors. And blue encompasses sky blue, navy blue, teal blue. Any blue is his favorite blue, and he repeatedly tells me this. So, because I haven't stopped knitting these, and I think I bought this skein to match the other one. I don't know. It's all up in the air, but I'm working on it. So that's going on. My 2010 cardigan by Vera Vaccamelli, which is the moss stitch cardigan that I am knitting with Valley Yarns Northampton Bulky, that last week you all laughed at me as I stood it up on its end. I can't stand it up anymore, but look, it's still quite bulky. So this is my inch-a-day project that I've been working on, that it was going along swimmingly until it became too massive to really be a travel project. Like I had to put it in a big tote bag because it is an Aran weight or bulky weight sweater for me, adult, 48-inch size bust. So it's a big sweater and it's a lot of work. So it's definitely been slowing down. I'm an inch behind where I need to be, if I'm being honest. So I'm like 16 days into it, and I think I have 15 inches of sweater. So, but look at how pretty that pocket looks. So that's new since last you saw it. I believe I was about to do the pocket. Maybe not, but I've done the pocket, so that's fun. Yeah, I was about to do it. And at this point, the body is basically done. I'm about to split for the front and back and start doing from the armholes up. So the yarn is fine to work with. I very much like the stitch definition I'm getting, and I never in a million years would have thought I would say that I like to buy a store-bought moss stitch sweater and wear it. I like moss stitch when someone else knits it, but for me to engage in a moss stitch sweater and have it turn out similar to how I'm expecting, like the texture on this, it's just so cool. I love the way that looks. I find myself taking lots of pictures of it at different angles and putting it on Instagram just because I think it's just gorgeous. So well-written pattern, no problems whatsoever so far. The asymmetrical, so if you remember the pattern, it's a short sleeve sweater cardigan, and the buttons start over here and they work down the body across, and then it has a big cowl neck. Perfect style for me. I like things big and drapey around my neck. Anyways, so doing that asymmetrical shaping keeps the pattern interesting. You're doing something almost every other row, so that's fun. Between that, buttonholes, all that stuff, because it is a worked as you go button band. I like it. I'm really happy with it so far. So, and I didn't set out for 2015 to be like the year of the sweater, but this is the 3rd sweater I've knit for myself after knitting none for myself last year. So that's exciting to see. And I'm using US size 8 needles with bulky yarn. So yeah, My hand's doing okay. It doesn't bother me. My shoulder bothers me more. And I don't know if that's related to the weight of Tristan or the sweater action. Probably more likely Tristan, but that's where that is. Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes. That's all I have to say about it. Nothing too exciting. I've finished about 12 skeins of this yarn. It's just over 100 yards a skein, and I've knit 4, right? This is my 5th. Oh, so it's almost gone. But there is the yarn, if you were curious. It actually, I know it's 100% wool. I don't believe it's a washable wool. It's called Fawn, is the colorway. It's a really great color, and because it is a 4-ply yarn, the twist gives it these high lows in the strands, so it's just nice. It's a nice yarn. I would give it a solid B+. So sometimes when I'm working with it, it reminds me of what's that stuff you get at the big box stores? Chunky Woolies, thick and quick. Kind of reminds me of that, but that's probably just because of the weight and not because of the yarn itself. You know, I never knit with yarn this thick. DK's usually as heavy as I go. So yeah, it's coming along. I'm trying to hold myself on the inch a day, and I've got my chart and I know which 4 rows I need to repeat. And I have a feeling that once I split off, I'm going to do the back first. That's my plan, because that's a bigger chunk of knitting. And so once I split, I think it'll go faster. I'll be more motivated to get it done. The end will be in sight. The sleeves are worked separate, I believe. They're a different stitch. I think they're just stockinette or reverse stockinette stitch. So that'll be interesting to do that too. So yeah, not really looking forward to the big cowl on it, but I'm looking forward to wearing the big cowl, so gotta put the time in, right? So there's that. What else? My movie theater socks. So these are the socks that I put up for the prize, as a prize, a covert sneak operation. And I think I want to do that more. I'm going to try and knit a little bit more for my friends, knit a little bit more for you guys as podcast giveaways, if you think you'd like that. Just share my knitting with more people. So in the future, keep your eyes peeled. And I will make sure to mention it on the podcast before I put something up on the boards, or before I draw. So it's not, so people aren't left out that would have really liked to have gotten it. But anyways, okay. So these socks are for Mountain Pearl. And if you recall, I started them to bring with me as a take-along project to go to the movies with my dad and see, what do we see? Jupiter Ascending, that's it. And this past week, I got to go, last Thursday night. Oh my goodness, time is flying by. Mom and I took a night and we went to see Cinderella together. She was dying to see it. I was on the fence about it. I'd heard some good things and bad things, and I guess I'm still on the fence about it. Like, it was fine, but I didn't fall in love with it. I did, however, fall in love with that blue dress. Oh my God, that was stunning. And I wish I had seen more of the wedding dress. But yeah, the costuming had a bigger role in the movie to me than in most of the other characters. And it left a bigger impact. I mean, Rose from Downton Abbey is Cinderella, and she's adorable. That's it. She's just adorable. I don't want to take her home adorable, but she's adorable. And Cate Blanchett is good, but I expect her to be good. She is always good in everything she touches. So she didn't blow me away. She blew me away as Galadriel and as Queen Elizabeth. You know, this performance was okay, it's fine. So that's my take on Cinderella, but I brought these with me and worked on them during that movie as well. And lucky enough, Mountain Pearl, I was not too far past. I had actually stopped at 6 3/4 inches, and that was the exact point that I needed to be at to start my gusset increases for you. So it's meant to be. So these are Patent Croy socks. This is the Celestial Stripe colorway, so it's just a subtle color shift in it, and I'm knitting them on US Zeros 2.25 millimeter needles using Wendy Johnson's slip stitch heel basic sock, which is my go-to sock pattern. I think it's in Socks from the Toe Up. This is where I first knit it. I put a 2x2 rib on top of it. Oh, I'm getting off in my my 2x2 rib as I speak of it. Yeah, toe up, 64 stitches. And because Patton's Croy is more towards a, Stephanie, what are you doing? This is more towards a sport weight yarn. These are super dense socks. So I hope you like thick and warm, cushy socks. And Mountain Pearl. I hope everybody does. But so these are going along. I have turned the first heel. You can see that. And the second heel, so the second sock, I think I did like 2 sets of increases, not a lot, so I'm working my way up that. And I'm knitting with my Knitter's Pride, what are they called? Carbons. And I like those for socks, but everything else I use my knit picks. Those are my go-to needles, have been for years and years and years, and I've never had bad luck with them. So I know so often when I'm watching a podcast, they talk about the needles they're using and what they love, and nobody ever loves knit picks. Well, I love knit picks. I'll raise my hand and say I love them. So, and I've never had, as I said, never had a cable break. Okay, I had 1 cable separate out of probably 30 sets of needles, and I love the interchangeables. That's what I use. So there you go. There, my stitches are back in line. So these are going on. And then one night what was going on? So last time I talked about that Steve and I needed to be brave and just get through the scary episodes of Vikings. Well, we did it. We actually got to the point where it was about to happen. The blood eagle, don't look that up, but if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. So about the point where that was about to happen, and I said, okay, good night, I'm gonna go watch something else upstairs. So I left and he finished the episode. So I think talking about it just caused me to just kind of pushed us into being brave and watching those episodes. And at the same time, I hadn't watched Vikings without working on my Fulvorous curl, which is a Hunter Hammerson pattern from the Curls book, and I frogged it because something was wrong with it, so I finally frogged that. And I was keeping on with the theme of being brave, ripped back my 8 or 10 inches of Stoker sweater that wasn't gonna fit me, and the full sleeve that I had knit, so I had a full sleeve and up to about here. Frogged all that, and I also frogged a toe of a sock that I never even made a project page for. So I found the project bag with a little toe, no needles, just the toe sitting in there with its skein of yarn. So I said, okay, that's fine, frog that out too. So I did rip back 3 projects, but I also pulled out a 4th that has been languishing, and it's silly that it has been. So the boys, both boys, Roland and now Tristan, when they were first learning to eat food, I found the grandma's dishcloths very helpful. Just every meal, have one of those, wipe them down, rinse it out a couple times during the meal, depending on how messy they get. But I love those as like a dinner napkin. So that's what I'm calling these, Tristan's dinner napkins. So I bought around Christmas time, yes, because that's why I was going to Joann's to knit cowls for everybody with the woolies, thick and quick. I stumbled upon the cotton and bought way too many skeins of cotton because I don't even like to knit cotton. But I had a half-finished dishcloth for him, so here it is. Woo, isn't that exciting? And I started another one. Our supply, so we use these dishcloths also on dishes. We have a dishwasher, so they pretty much just wash pots and pans, which I've always loved as long as I grew up with these. My grandmother knit them. And then when Steve and I moved out on our own, I've made them for us. We've always had these, so this is what I'm used to, right? So we have separate sets for the kitchen and for Tristan. So this is an official Tristan color, not a kitchen color. So there will be more of these coming in the future, I'm sure, because it's taking up space on my whips count, and I don't want it there. So, and he could use some new ones. I threw away, I think, 2 or 3 of them. After they've been gone through the wash with borax and hot water, and then another, because they get the smell, right? So you go through with borax, and if you a month later, oh, they got the smell back again. Then they go through with bleach, and then wash them again, because I don't want bleach near Tris. But And then the smell comes back a third time, third strike, you're out into the trash. So that's how I know, because after the bleach, they're usually a lot lighter than previous. So yeah, that's what's happening with my knitting projects, all that to say. And I don't want to call them dishcloths. That's the other thing. I feel so silly. I've been watching the Miss Fisher murder mysteries, and it's refined. It's fun to watch, but it's been making me think, I mean, she has a butler and she has a maid, and so it's like, yeah, they're not dishcloths that Tristan's using on his face. That sounds so they are his dinner napkins. So I'm gonna finish knitting him probably 5 or 6 more dinner napkins. So that's it for knitting for me. I still have, so how to wrap my brain around this. It's spring, except it's not spring, right? We're supposed to get snow tonight. It's Wednesday, April 8th, 2015, and we are supposed to get snow tonight. And it was funny, they had the overhead signs on the interstate, and they were flashing, Wednesday night inclement weather warning, plan ahead, or whatever it is they flash. And so I read it to Roland as we were driving, well, both boys, but Roland responded as we were driving by that it was going to snow tonight. And he said, Mom, don't they know snow is melting? It's like, yes, it should be melting. So I wonder if that's why I feel this, like, everything feels like a slog in my knitting right now. It's just, nothing's really exciting to me, and I wonder if it's just an overall feeling of the change of season that isn't happening. It should have happened, and it hasn't. And I'm knitting a big, heavy sweater, which is okay, but I'm not drawn to knit it, and I definitely don't want to knit more than my 4 rows or my inch a day. So don't be surprised if in the coming couple podcasts you see me cast on a whole lot of projects, or frog a whole bunch of projects, so that I feel less guilt about casting on a whole bunch, because I have oodles of beautiful yarn that will make me feel inspired and springy and happy, that it just needs to find its way onto the needles. But at the same time, I don't want to lose track of the barn raising, right? Because I would like to get that done, but that's a huge investment of time. If you're talking about knitting 8 skeins of sock yarn, it's going to take a while to do that, Stephanie. And the sweater, it's bulky, but it's time consuming doing moss stitch and that constant back and forth of the yarn on your fingers. So I guess what I'm saying to you and what I'm telling myself is have patience with your knitting. Yes, have patience. Spring will happen, and then it will be all socks all the time, and barn raising quilt squares, and I want to knit hats suddenly, like I need a green hat for some reason. I don't know why. I have a green hat. I don't need a green hat. Take that back. But I do want to knit a hat. I want to knit shawls. I feel like my shawls are outdated. I need to go through my closet. Oh, speaking of my closet, you know what's happening tomorrow? Steve and I are taking the day off, and boys are going to school, and we are completely emptying the upstairs of our house. Beds, dressers, desk, bookshelves, everything. So I've spent the last month on either Saturday or Sunday taking an hour and emptying out the closet, under the bed, like all these places where you squirrel away things that you really don't need. So going through that, making our Goodwill piles and running things away, getting rid of them, and boxing up the books so the bookshelves are empty, so that'll be easier. But we are getting new carpets installed in the upstairs of our house. So the bathroom and the laundry room are linoleum, so I'm thinking that our queen size mattress and box spring can go into the laundry room along with Steve's big dresser, so we really only have to carry downstairs, because it's just him and I. Our bed, like the frame, which is a heavy duty wood frame, I think he's still gonna have to take it apart from the rails and the head and the footboard, but we have to carry down our bed, the boys, the toddler bed, the crib, mattresses, their 2 dressers, 4 bookshelves, and a desk, and all kinds of lamps. All that stuff. Oh, and a cat scratch tree. I'll have to go downstairs into the living room, and then we're gonna go spend the night at my parents' house. And then Friday, we both have the day off, but I'm not really planning on being around at the house much. That's gonna be a knitting day. Shh. The installers are coming in, and we're getting new carpets. Yay! So I'm really excited about that. It'll be nice to have we've lived there for 10 years. Have I told you this? I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. We've lived there for 10 years and we've had the same carpets the whole time, which are beige. So it'll be nice to have this nice marl brown kind of coffee, or no, I would think it's more like the Nespresso coffee is what I'm picturing. So like coffee with foam on top and then you swirl it. So it's all these shades of brown and a little bit of light because I want it to be more towards the light side of brown. But yeah, so just basic carpet that is good for little boys and yeah, freshening up our house. So it is a Berber, and so I do need to go get a new carpeted scratch post for the boys, the cats, not my children, my 2 cats, because while I do trim their toenails, their fingernails, I would say once a month. It should be every other week I do it. If I were a good cat owner, I would, but I'm not. But I do trim their nails, but they have a sisal scratch post that they like, but Mac will scratch on cardboard boxes, he will scratch on carpeted floors, he will scratch on wooden furniture. So I just need to make sure we have a plethora of scratch posts for a while with a new carpet to get them back over towards that, and maybe get some catnip and put it on them. I know these are old cats, they know how to use scratch posts, but I want to protect the new carpets because I expect that a year from now, I will be talking to you about trying to sell the condo and getting a house. But we're not there yet. We're just taking little steps. Boy, there's something very loud going on out there. We're just taking little steps. So we got the windows replaced in November, upstairs in the bedrooms. They're gorgeous. They're lovely. They slide like butter. We're doing the carpets. What else are we gonna do? I'm gonna touch up the woodwork at some point. Maybe that's a good thing to do while all the furniture is out, while the upstairs doesn't get really beat up. I am so rambling. Let me focus back on what I'm doing. So I told you what I've been watching. Oh, a new to me podcast that I've really been enjoying is Molly from Homespun House podcast. You've probably already heard of her. She is an American living abroad in Germany, I believe. I've watched 2 episodes so far. She's pregnant. She's cute as a button, and she is a little girl, and they're expecting a second little girl. So if you are into the mommy podcast, she's a good one to go check her out. And then I know another one. Everybody else already knew about this, but just this past week, I finally sat down and caught back up with Karen from Around the Twist. She's back. So welcome back, Karen. We've all missed you, I'm sure, and I am loving seeing you and the twins. It's great. So I told you about my frogging. Ooh, that's it, my friends. That's all I have to tell you about. It's a short one, but you know, I'll see you back in about 10 days or so, and I'm sure I will have more to share with you then. I think I have some funny boys playing, running around. The chase is their favorite game right now, or they're pretty much their main way of interacting with each other is one chases one way, one pushes. It's just lots of giggling. I was gonna say screaming because it can get pretty loud at my house these days, but Tristan took his first steps. I know. I went down to daycare Monday morning I went down at around 11 on my way to lunch. Popped in. Randy, his primary teacher, looked at me and said, "Anything big happened this weekend?" And I said, "Well, it was Easter. Happy Easter." And happy Easter to you. A little belated, but she was like, "No, anything else?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "He walked to Kim this morning." Kim's the other teacher, and she's been gone for a month. And I feel like she definitely loves the kids, but she's more of the hard-nosed teacher, you know? Like, I know you can do that. I'm not going to give you that. You do it yourself, which is great. They need that. They don't always need someone to give in and coddle them, which is what I want to do all the time. So I feel like Kim was just like, "No, come on, mister. You're standing up there, you're balancing, and you can pivot. You can step." And so he walked to her, and then while I was down there, I sat down. Kim and I sat down, and he wouldn't come to me, but again, he took 3 steps to Kim. So, and then that night we brought him home, and going to mommy, it's like he starts whining, and then he drops on his knees and he crawls, and he's giggling and he's happy when he gets to me. So it's like, okay. But we are doomed. I know. He will be 10 months old in 2 days on Friday. He'll be 10 months old. So Ro was a year when he walked, and he didn't walk to me either the first time he walked. was my father-in-law was visiting, and if you've been with me for a while, you've seen this video, but he was visiting some football game. It wasn't a playoff game or anything, so I'm not sure why he was there. But it was the weekend after Roland's first birthday, and my father-in-law couldn't come to the birthday party, so he came the next weekend. I think that's probably why he came, and we were just watching football. But he said, "Oh, Roland's gonna walk," and Steve held him, and Kevin, my father-in-law, stood in front of him and said, "Come on," and Roland walked to him, and I videoed it, and it was beautiful. So Tristan has now done the same thing, and we were walking out of daycare that night. I just have to tell you this, and then I'm done. We were walking out of daycare that night, and I said, "Roland, Tristan walked for the first time today." And Roland said, "Did you take a picture?" Does he know his mother or what? Oh, my goodness. Those boys, they have my heart. So. Oh, that's a good idea. Hold his hand. That's it for this week. I'll see you in about 10 days or so. Probably less. Probably next Friday. Not this Friday. Next Friday. I'll catch up with you. Who knows where I'll be on that sweater. So, take care. Enjoy what's going on in your knitting world. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.